Good morning sa lahat. Basa na tayo nating libro guys. The Word in Other Words. Bible Diary 2023. 27 February 2025. Nandito tayo sa page ng 16 January, Monday. Second week in ordinary time. That green, PSS 2. The Word, first reading. Ito guys, yung libro na to, para na rin kayong umatid ng Holy Mass. Kaya nga lang, hindi lang siya Sunday, kundi everyday. Kasi yung diary na to is, yung Bible diary na to is everyday reading. The Word, first reading, Hebrew chapter 5 verse 1 to verse 10. Every high priest is taken from among men and made the representative before God to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. He is able to deal patiently with the ignorant and erring, for he himself is beset by weakness and so. For this reason must make sin offerings for himself as well as for the people. No one takes this honor upon himself but only when called by God, just as Aaron was. In the same way, it was not Christ who glorified himself in becoming high priest, but rather the one who said to him, "You are my son, this day I have begotten you," just as he says in another place, "You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek." In the days when he was in the flesh, he offered prayers and supplications with loud cries and thirst to the one who was able to save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverence. Son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered, and when he was made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him, declared by God, high priest according to the order of Melchizedek. Gospel reading, Mark chapter 2 verse 18 to verse 22. The disciples of John and of the Pharisees were accustomed to fast. Ito yung fasting guys. People came to him and objected, "Why do the disciples of John and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus answered them, "Can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunken cloth on an old cloak. If he does, its fullness falls away, the new from the old, and the tear gets worse. Likewise, no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the skins are ruined. Rather, new wine is poured into fresh wineskins." In other words, kaya nga guys, napaka-importante talaga mag-fasting tayo. Lalo na malapit na yung mahal na araw. So, panahon yan ng pagmumuni-muni, tsaka hindi na rin natin mag-fasting. In other words, opinion ko lang yun ha, kasi napaka-importante po niyan. In other words, by Father Franlo Bardon, SVD-USC, Cebu City. Yung mga abbreviation nila dito, hindi natin alam kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng SVD, ano ang ibig sabihin ng USC. So, dapat mayroon dito, yung sa hulihan ba, kung anong mga meaning. Dapat mayroon ganun. Sa hulihan ng book. Para pag natapos natin yung libro, alam natin kung ano ibig sabihin ng mga yan. Okay, in other words, ulitin ko lang. In other words, by Father Franlo Bardon, SVD-USC, Cebu City. Have you tried doing something good in the wrong place at the wrong time? Perhaps you do not really know why you were doing those good acts. It may be that you are doing them for a show, to improve your image before others. The gospel today, marami niyan ngayong panahon ng kampanya ng eleksyon. For the show lang. Yung iba ha, huwag nyo namang gawing kasi karamihan sa mga mga tumatakbong senator, mga walang experience man lang sa paggawa ba ng batas. Dapat ang sa Senado po guys, yung mayroon kayong gagawing batas, tsaka unfair masyado sa aming mga ordinaryong trabahador kasi pag gumawa sila ng batas guys, ang tagal-tagal, tapos ang sweldo nila every month mayroon silang sweldo, pero matatapos nila ang batas ilang taon. Pero may ilang taon sila dyan, 6 years, tapos ilan lang ang batas na natatapos nila. So pag i-divide mo yun sa every month nila, diba, napakamahal masyado ng ginagawa nilang batas kung susmahin mo yung mga sweldo nila. Kaya nagsasayang lang talaga tayo ng pera. Dapat wala na talaga, abolish na dapat yung Senado. Kasi sayang eh. Okay na lang yun sa mga congressman kasi sa lahat naman kasi mga bayan-bayan, kailangan talaga may representative. Pero yung sa Senado, parang redundant na lang kasi talaga yan eh. Okay. Ayan, matatagalan na naman tuloy tayo. Nagdaldal na naman si Ralph. Ulitin ko na nga lang. In other words, by Father Fran Lobardin. Tuloy-tuloy na natin to guys. In other words, para lang tayong nakikinig ng Holy Mass ng pare. In other words, by Father Fran Lobardon, SPD-UEC, Cebu City. Have you tried doing something good in the wrong place at the wrong time? Perhaps you do not really know why you were doing those good acts. It may be that you are doing them for a show, to improve your image before others. The Gospel today talks about fasting at the right moment. Didn't Jesus recommend it once along with prayer as a powerful means to combat evil? See if that Matthew chapter 17 and chapter 17, 21. So, siguro tingnan mo yung reference na yan. Ano kayang ibig sabihin ng CF? Still, no matter how good that practice is, its value but may diminish and even become void when its purpose is self-centered and its timing not appropriate. The Lord has two pieces of advice for us. First, we do it with and for Him. As His followers, all our actions must be centered on our relationship with Jesus. His presence and absence in our lives dictate that kind of emotion prevailing in our hearts. Second, we must be constantly aware of our being a vehicle of His favor. Carrying out good acts is a blessing since we allow ourselves to be renewed by His love. In this way, we become one with Christ, the High Priest, in His perpetual self-offering for the salvation of the world. Okay guys, nandito na tayo sa 17 January, Tuesday. Saint Anthony, Abbot M. Second week in Ordinary Time, White, PSS 2. The Word. First reading, Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10 to verse 20. For God is not unjust so as to overlook your work and the love you have demonstrated for His name by having served and continuing to serve the holy ones. We earnestly desire each of you to demonstrate the same eagerness for the fulfillment of hope until the end, so that you may not become sluggish but imitators of those who through faith and patience are inheriting the promises. When God made the promise to Abraham, since he had no one greater by whom to swear, He swore by Himself and said, I will indeed bless you and multiply you, and so after patient waiting, He obtained the promise. Human beings swear by someone greater than themselves. For them an oath serves as a guarantee and puts an end to all argument. So when God wanted to give the heirs of His promise an even clearer demonstration of the immutability of His purpose, He intervened with an oath, so that by two immutable things in which it was impossible for God to lie, we who have taken refuge might be strongly encouraged to hold fast to the hope that lies before us. This we have as an anchor of the soul, sure and firm, which reaches into the interior behind the veil, where Jesus had where Jesus has entered on our behalf as forerunner, becoming high priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Gospel reading, Mark chapter 2, verse 23 to verse 28. As he was passing through a field of grain on the Sabbath, his disciples began to make a path while picking the heads of grain. At this the Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" He said to them, Have you never read what David did when he was in need and he and his companions were hungry? How he went into the house of God when Abbot was high priest and ate the bread of offering that only the priest could lawfully eat, and shared it with his companions. Then he said to them, The Sabbath was made for a man, not man for the Sabbath. That is why the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. In other words, by Father Ronnie Timan, SBD-Catholic Trade Community, Manila. Every grain of rice is gold for the struggling farmers of Occidental Mindoro. They take good care of their only source of income, praying that their rice field will be spared from typhoons and destructive waters. They wish that the government would look after their plight. In today's Gospel, the disciples of Jesus flocked with grain and ate. The Pharisees saw this and confronted them because it was unlawful, but Jesus answered them and reminded them of what David did, and how they ate the offering, which only the priest could lawfully eat. Jesus gave them a hint that he was with them. His presence is more than the man-made Sabbath. Indeed, Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath. He is the fulfillment of the law that the Father has given us, the law of love. Lord, help and protect our rice farmers. Thank you for the rice and food on our table, and most of all, the food that comes down from heaven, your body and blood, and the Eucharist. Bukas na itong 18 January, guys. Bye everyone. God bless.